Most people can point to the island of Ireland on a map, yet far fewer understand why it remains divided into two separate nations. Today, the majority of the island forms the independent state of Ireland, while the northeastern corner remains part of the United Kingdom as Northern Ireland. This division, and the border stretching across the island, is the result of centuries of conquest, rebellion, migration, religious conflict, and political struggle that shaped Irish history over hundreds of years. For much of its past, Ireland experienced repeated invasions and cultural transformations. Long before written records, ancient communities lived across the island, leaving behind massive stone tombs and monuments that still survive today. But it was the arrival of the Celtic peoples during the Iron Age that would define Ireland's cultural identity for centuries to come. Bringing with them Celtic languages and traditions, these tribes gradually formed what became known as Gaelic Ireland. Gaelic society was organized into numerous small kingdoms ruled by local chieftains, while a symbolic high king sometimes claimed authority over the island as a whole. Warfare between rival clans was common, yet Ireland also developed a rich oral culture preserved by poets, storytellers, and druids who maintained laws, myths, and religious traditions. Unlike neighboring Britain, Ireland escaped conquest by the Roman Empire. However, Roman influence still reached the island indirectly through Christianity. By the 5th century, missionaries such as St. Patrick helped spread the Christian faith across Ireland, gradually replacing Celtic pagan beliefs. Christianity transformed Irish society not only spiritually, but intellectually as well. Monasteries became centers of literacy and learning, where monks preserved history, copied religious texts, and created magnificent illuminated manuscripts, such as the Book of Kells. During the early medieval era, Ireland earned a reputation as one of Europe's important centers of scholarship. Irish monks traveled abroad, carrying knowledge and helping preserve learning during the chaos that followed the fall of Rome. Yet Ireland's monasteries also attracted unwanted attention. Over time, these raids evolved into permanent settlements. The Vikings founded many of Ireland's first major towns, including Dublin, Cork, Waterford, and Limerick. Dublin, in particular, became a wealthy trading center connected to Viking routes stretching across Europe and beyond. Despite their influence, the Vikings never fully conquered Ireland's interior. Gaelic kingdoms survived and eventually pushed back against Norse power. In 1014, the Irish High King Brian Boru achieved a major victory at the Battle of Clontarf, weakening Viking dominance significantly. Although Viking power faded, Ireland remained politically fragmented. This disunity created an opportunity for another foreign intervention in the 12th century, when Norman knights from England and Wales arrived in Ireland in 1169 at the request of an Irish king involved in a dynastic struggle. Their success soon alarmed Henry II, who feared the Normans might establish an independent realm. In 1171, Henry invaded Ireland himself, beginning centuries of English involvement in Irish affairs. Over time, Norman lords established strongholds throughout eastern and southern Ireland, building castles and controlling territory around Dublin known as the Pale. Yet English control remained limited, and many Norman settlers gradually adopted Irish customs, language, and traditions themselves. By the 16th century, however, the English crown sought to tighten its grip over Ireland more aggressively under the Tudor dynasty. Religion became a major dividing factor after the Protestant Reformation. While England embraced Protestantism under Henry VIII, most Irish people remained firmly Catholic. This religious divide would become one of the most enduring fault lines in Irish history. English rulers launched campaigns to conquer Ireland completely, crushing Gaelic resistance and confiscating land from Irish nobles. One of the most decisive conflicts was the 9 Years' War, led by Hugh O'Neill in the late 1500s. Although Irish forces initially achieved victories, they were ultimately defeated after the Battle of Kinsale in 1601. Following this defeat, the English crown introduced the plantation system, particularly in Ulster in Northern Ireland. Large areas of land were confiscated from native Irish Catholics and redistributed to Protestant settlers from England and Scotland. This dramatically changed the demographics of the North and laid the foundations for the future division between largely Protestant Unionists and largely Catholic nationalists. Religious and political tensions exploded repeatedly throughout the 17th century. Catholic uprisings, sectarian violence, and wars involving figures such as Oliver Cromwell devastated Ireland. Cromwell's brutal conquest during the 1650s led to mass confiscations of Catholic-owned land. By the end of the century, Protestant landowners dominated Irish politics and society, while the Catholic majority faced severe restrictions under harsh penal laws. Throughout the 18th century, Ireland remained under British control, governed largely by a Protestant elite loyal to London. Yet ideas from the American and French revolutions inspired new calls for reform and independence. In 1798, the Society of United Irishmen launched a rebellion seeking to establish an independent Irish republic. Though the uprising failed, it deeply alarmed Britain. In response, the Act of Union came into effect in 1801, abolishing the Irish Parliament and formally merging Ireland into the United Kingdom. The 19th century brought both political reform and immense tragedy. Catholic emancipation eventually granted Catholics greater rights, but the greatest catastrophe came during the Great Famine of the 1840s. A potato blight devastated crops across Ireland, leading to starvation, disease, and mass emigration. Around 1 million people died, while another million fled abroad, especially to the United States, Canada, Australia, and Britain. The famine left a deep scar on Irish society and intensified resentment toward British rule. By the late 19th and early 20th centuries, demands for Irish self-government grew stronger. While many supported home rule within the United Kingdom, more radical nationalists pushed for full independence. In 1916, during the First World War, Irish Republicans launched the Easter Rising in Dublin. Though the rebellion was crushed, the execution of its leaders generated widespread sympathy for the independence movement. Following the war, the Irish Republican Army fought a guerrilla campaign against British forces during the Irish War of Independence. Negotiations eventually produced the Anglo-Irish Treaty in 1921. Under the agreement, most of Ireland became the Irish Free State, while 6 counties in the northeast remained part of the United Kingdom as Northern Ireland. This partition permanently divided the island. In the south, the Irish Free State gradually evolved into the modern independent state of Ireland. In the north, however, tensions between the Protestant Unionist majority and Catholic nationalist minority continued for decades. By the late 1960s, discrimination against Catholics in Northern Ireland sparked civil rights protests, which soon escalated into violent conflict known as the Troubles. Republican paramilitary groups, such as the IRA, fought against British security forces and loyalist groups in a conflict marked by bombings, assassinations, riots, and sectarian violence. After nearly 30 years of unrest, peace negotiations finally produced the Good Friday Agreement in 1998. The agreement established a power-sharing government in Belfast and largely brought an end to the violence. Today, both Ireland and Northern Ireland remain separate political entities, yet cooperation between them has grown significantly in recent decades. While the legacy of division still exists, the peace process transformed the island and opened the possibility that one day Ireland's long history of conflict may eventually give way to lasting unity.